Good morning, everyone. I am Mansi, Assistant Professor in the Department of CSE. Today, we will discuss User Experience Research Skills, Part 1, Observation. User Experience Research, commonly known as UXR, plays a crucial role in designing products that truly meet user needs. Whether we are designing a mobile application, a website, or a digital platform, understanding the behavior and needs of users is essential. User experience research focuses on studying how users interact with products and services. It helps designers and developers create solutions that are not only functional but also intuitive and user friendly. One of the most powerful techniques used in UXR research is observation, where researchers carefully study user behavior in real life context. In this lecture, we will explore three important aspects of user research. First, we will discuss ethical considerations, which define the responsibility of researchers when collecting user data. Second, we will learn about Observation 101, which explains how to observe users effectively and objectively. Finally, we will examine how to build a research plan, which helps researchers organize and conduct their studies systematically. By the end of this session, you will understand the importance of ethics in research, how observation works in user research, and how to plan research study effectively. Today's session will cover three main topics. The first topic is ethical considerations. In this section, we will explore the rights that users have when participating in research and the responsibilities researchers must follow while collecting and handling user data. The second topic is Observation 101. This part focuses on the basics of observation in UX research. We will discuss who to observe, what to observe, when to observe, and how to capture meaningful information about user behavior. The third topic is research plan. Conducting research without a proper plan can lead to confusion and poor results. Therefore, we will learn how to build a research plan that clearly outlines research goals, questions, and methods. Together, these three sections will help you understand how UX research is conducted professionally and ethically. Ethics is one of the most important aspects of any research involving people. When researchers collect information from users, they must ensure that they respect the rights, privacy, and dignity of those participants. Users who participate in research studies have several important rights. First, they have the right to privacy, which means that their personal information should not be shared without their consent. Second, users have the right to informed consent, which means that they should clearly understand what the research is about and how their data will be used before agreeing to participate. Third, they have the right to withdraw from the study at any time if they feel uncomfortable. Another important ethical responsibility is protecting personal identifiable information, also known as PII. PII includes data such as name, email address, phone number, photos, video recording, and any other information that could identify a person. Researchers must handle this information carefully and store it securely. In UX research, ethical practices also include being transparent with participants, avoiding deception, ensuring that the research activities do not harm users in any way. Researchers must also ensure that the data is collected only for legitimate purpose and is deleted when it is no longer needed. Following ethical guidelines help maintain trust between researcher and the participants. If users trust the research process, they are more likely to provide honest and meaningful feedback. In addition to basic ethical principles, there are several best practices that UX researchers should follow when conducting studies. One important practice is respecting user confidentiality. Researchers should never expose personal information or use it in any way that could harm participants. Another best practice is minimization, which means collecting only the information that is truly necessary for the research. Researchers should also ensure that the participants clearly understand the purpose of research study. This can be done through consent forms or introductory explanation before the research begins. It is also important to store research data securely and limit access only to authorized users involved in the project. These practices help protect your participants and ensure that the research results are trustworthy and ethical. UX researchers must also comply with legal regulations related to data protection and privacy. One of the most well-known regulation is the General Data Protection Regulation, commonly known as GDPR. GDPR was introduced by the European Union and is considered one of the most comprehensive data protection law in the world. GDPR establishes strict rules about how organizations collect data, store and process personal data. It requires companies to obtain user consent before collecting data, provide transparency about how the data will be used, and allow users to request deletion of their personal information. Although GDPR is a European regulation, many companies around the world follow its guidelines because they operate globally and want to maintain a high standard of data protection. Other countries also have their own data protection laws. UXR researchers must ensure that their research practices comply with relevant legal requirements. The key takeaway from this section is that collecting user data is a privilege, not a right. When users agree to participate in a research, they are trusting researchers with their personal experience and opinions, and sometimes sensitive information. Therefore, researchers must treat this data responsibly and ethically. As a UX researchers, we are responsible for the ethical collection and analysis and deletion of user data. We must always ask ourselves an important question. Would we feel comfortable if someone handled our personal data in the same way? If the answer is no, then we should reconsider our research practices. Respecting user privacy and maintaining ethical standards ensures that research benefits both the organization and the users involved. Now, let's move on to the second major topic of today's lecture, which is Observation 101. Observation is a fundamental research technique used to understand how users interact with the products, environment, and systems. In simple terms, observation involves watching users perform tasks in their natural environment and recording what happens. The goal of observation is to capture objective information about user behavior, their context, the tasks they perform, and the challenges they encounter. Observation allows researchers to discover insights that users themselves may not express in interviews or surveys. Sometimes, people are not aware of their own behavioral patterns, and observation helps researchers uncover these hidden insights. For example, imagine observing someone while they are shopping in a grocery store. By watching their behavior, we can learn how they choose products, how they navigate the store, and what difficulties they are facing during the shopping process. Observation helps researchers understand real-life behavior instead of relying on what users say. One of the first questions in observational research is who should be observed. In UX research, participants should represent the target users of the product or service being studied. For example, if we are designing a grocery shopping application, we might observe people who regularly shop for groceries. Different types of users may behave differently. For instance, a student shopping for groceries may have different needs compared to parent shopping for the family. Therefore, selecting the right participant is essential for collecting meaningful data. Researchers often create user personas or target user profiles to identify the type of users who should participate in the study. Observing the right users ensures that the research findings accurately represent the needs of the intended audience. Another important question is, what stimuli should be observed? Stimuli refers to different factors that influence user behavior. These could include environmental conditions, product designs, store layouts, signage, pricing information, or even interaction with other people. For example, in a grocery store observation, researchers might study how users respond to product placement, promotional displays, or digital payment systems. By observing these stimuli, researchers can understand what attracts users' attention, what causes confusion, and what influences decision making. The next question is where the observation should take place. Observations can occur in natural environment such as stores, offices, homes, or public spaces. These are called field observation and they help researchers understand how users behave in real life context. Alternatively, observation can take place in controlled environments such as a usability lab, where researchers can monitor user interaction with specific products or systems. Each environment has its advantage. Natural environments provide authentic behavior, while controlled environments allow researchers to focus on specific tasks. The choice of location depends on the research goals and the type of insights needed. During observation, researchers should focus on several aspects of user behavior. These include how users perform tasks, how long tasks take, what difficulties they encounter, and what strategies they use to solve problems. Researchers may also observe body language, facial expressions, and emotional reactions. For example, if a user appears frustrated while using an app or searching for a product, this may indicate a design problem or usability issue. Researchers typically record their observation through notes, photography, video recording, or observation sheets. The key objective is to gather detailed information about user behavior without interfering with the natural process. The most important principle of observation is objectivity. Researchers must avoid making assumptions or interpreting behavior based on personal opinion. Instead, they should record exactly what they see and hear. If observations become biased, the collected data will not accurately represent user behavior. Biased observation leads to bad data, and bad data leads to poor insights and ineffective recommendations. Therefore, maintaining objectivity is essential for ensuring the reliability and validity of research findings. The final section of today's lecture focuses on building a research plan. A research plan is a document that outlines the purpose, goals, methods, and timelines of research study. It ensures that all stakeholders understand what the research aims to achieve and how it will be conducted. The first step is creating a research plan, is understanding what the team wants to learn. Researchers must clearly identify the problem or question that needs to be answered. The second step is writing the project background, which explains why the research is necessary and what context leads to research initiative. The third step is identifying research questions and hypotheses. Research questions define what the study aims to discover, while hypotheses are assumptions that researchers want to test. The fourth step is selecting a research method and describing the methodology. This includes deciding whether the research will involve observations, interviews, surveys, usability testing, or other techniques. A clear methodology ensures that the research process is organized and systematic. Developing a research plan takes time and careful preparation. A typical research planning process might take about 1 week. For example, researchers may spend 2 days conducting stakeholder interviews to understand project goals. Another 2 days may be spent developing the research plan itself, including defining questions and selecting methods. Finally, 1 day may be used to conduct kick-off meetings where the research plan is presented to the team. This structure ensures that everyone involved in the project understands the research objective and expectations. After research plan is created, the next step is to organize a kick-off meeting. A kick-off meeting brings together all teams, members involved in the project. During the meetings, the researcher presents the research plan and explains the goals, methods, and expected outcomes of the study. The purpose of the kick-off meeting is to ensure that the entire research team understands the research process and supports the study. After the meeting, the research should send a follow-up email summarizing the discussion, confirming next steps, and sharing the finalized research plan. This ensures that everyone remains aligned and informed throughout the research process. Before starting any UX research study, it is important to confirm 3 key things. First, the research questions must be clearly defined. Without clear questions, the research may lack direction. Second, the team must be supportive of study and open to results. Research findings may sometimes challenge existing assumptions. So, it is important that stakeholders remain open to learning from the results. Third, the team must agree on how and when the insights will be used. Research is valuable only when its findings are applied to improve product or services. By ensuring these conditions are met, researchers can conduct meaningful studies that lead to actionable insights and better user experience. Thank you for your attention. Today, we discussed the importance of ethical considerations in UX research, the fundamentals of observation as a research method, and the steps required to develop a research plan. Understanding these concepts is essential for anyone involved in designing user-centered products. When research is conducted ethically and systematically, it helps organizations create solutions that truly meet the needs of users. I hope this session has provided you with valuable insights into UX research practices and observation techniques. Thank you.